Hey everybody, and today we are going to do a quick lesson on our next project, which is going to be laser engraving. This project, what we're going to do is we are going to make a little coaster for you to put an engraving on and take it home. So, um, the first thing I want to talk about is laser engraving photos. When you laser engrave something, laser engravers don't do colors very well. Okay, our engraver, something like this, find some better examples. Our engravings are mostly going to come out like this. Laser engravers don't do color very well. Generally, we're going to be able to do stuff like this really easily. You know, if we go back to here, photos like this are very, very difficult to get a good engraving on. And that's because there's so many shades and so many gradients here that you have to play with the laser a lot and tune all the settings very specifically in order to get a good photo like this. What we're going to do is when we engrave stuff, we are mostly going to see stuff that ends up coming out like this, where it's just pure black and white. Um, Something like this is definitely doable. Something like this is definitely doable. Like a skyline, a black and white skyline, that's pretty good. Images that look like this are a much better option. Generally, when you're picking something, you want it to be clear, black and white. Ideally, colors are okay, but as long as they're like clear, defined lines, stuff like this is okay. All right. So, first things first, you want to select an image that you want to engrave. Okay. Let's look up the Bills logo. Bills logo is super easy. Why? Because if we look at this logo here, we have nice and clear defined edges with no gradients. I know this is in color, but that's okay. What's going to end up happening is the red and the blue are basically just going to come out as two different shades, but it's not going to be noticeable enough to really matter. Or actually, let's do the Standing Buffalo logo. The Standing Buffalo is a good logo. And this is even better because it's one color, so it'll all be one solid engraving. Okay? All right, so this is the image I want to put on a coaster. So let's hop over to our program. So the program that we're going to use is called Inkscape. If you open up your Windows program list, go down to I and open up the Inkscape folder. Right here, this is the software that we are going to use. You click on that, and mine is going to automatically go here because I've already opened this software. But essentially, if anything pops up, you're just going to hit regular paper size, which is 8.5 by 11, and then just hit new document. If you get stuck, just let me know. I'll help you get set up. But basically, mess with all those just click new document until you get to this screen. Okay. So once we are here, the first thing we have to do is we have to make the cutout that our coaster is going to be on. So there's a lot of different options. Over here on the left-hand side, you've got square, circle, star, and polygon. You can choose any shape you want. It literally doesn't matter, but I'm going to go with circle just because that is the easiest, all right? So now I'm going to click and drag to make a circle. And what we want this circle to look like is we want this to be hollow on the inside and basically just an outline of a circle. We don't actually want this to be a filled in circle because it's going to want to engrave this. If we want something to get cut out, we want an outline of a circle. So that's what we're going to do. Okay. By the way, if you want to go back to the cursor, you can just select this for the select tool or just hit escape a couple times on your keyboard. And okay, where was I? I just had to pause. Okay, so we got this circle here. We want an outline of this circle. So the way we're going to achieve that, well, first, let's get it the right shape, I guess. So up here at the top, you'll see a bunch of numbers, all right? First, we want to change this into inches. So click this box that says millimeters and scroll up, and we're going to change that to inches. Now, if we want this to be a perfect circle, you'll see four numbers, X, Y, W, and H. This means the X position, which is its distance this way, its Y position, which is its position this way, its width, which is its width, and its height, which is its height. That's pretty obvious. So most coasters are between 4 and 6 inches in diameter. So I'm going to set my width and my height to both be 4 inches, and that'll give us a perfect circle. Now, I just want an outline of this circle. I don't want it to be filled in. So what we're going to do for that is under the Object tab, we're going to go to Fill and Stroke, and you'll see this pop up. Now there's 3 tabs in here: Fill, Stroke Paint, and Stroke Style. In the Fill tab, we're going to change it to No Paint for fill, but this makes it disappear. So we're going to go to the Stroke Paint tab and select this flat color box, and you'll see this pop up. Now, if you get a really thick line here for whatever reason, under Stroke Style, you can change the width for this stroke here, and it should get thinner or wider depending on what you need. And if it's a different color, you can change it here too. So we got a good outline. Now what we need to do is get our image on there. So we're going to go to our standing buffalo image. We're going to right click, copy image, go back to Inkscape and right click paste. And then we're just going to size it down. So you'll notice something here. If my aspect ratio isn't locked, what's going to happen is it's going to want to distort the image. So if you hold down Control and then scroll up and down, this will keep your aspect ratio nice and locked, so it stays proportional. So just holding down Control, that's how you can get a good aspect ratio. Now, if you want to get this perfectly centered, you can. You would have to do some math, like figuring out the diameter of the circle, figuring out the width of this, and then dividing those both by 2 to get your positioning. That's a lot of work, so I'm not going to do that. So essentially what I just did is I scaled it down, and then I just lined up these 4 corners so that they're all touching the circle here. And then I said basically good enough. All right, so now we've got our coaster set. We've got our image. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go File, Save As, and I would save it in your documents. I would call it I'm going to call this one the Standing Buffalo Coaster 2 because I already did one. So I'm going to call this Standing Buffalo Coaster 2. And it's going to save as an SVG. And then you press Save. And once you are done with that, put it on a flash drive, take it to the computer in the back of the room, and I will walk you through how to get your engraving done. Okay? So that's it. What I would really like you to do is I would really like you to play around with this. Don't do something boring. This took me 4 minutes to make. Make something more interesting. If you want to draw something by hand, take a picture of it and then import it in here. I would absolutely recommend you to do that. If you want to do some text, there's also like a text tool down here. You can pick different fonts. I would encourage you to be creative because you get to take this home and that's yours. All right, but that is it for this video.